Useless, who have removed themselves from both mortal and kindred affairs. They state that they have nothing to do with the dry heart. Ganhana, the end of the third cycle, the impending Armageddon when antediluvians shall awaken and devour all vampires. Now, the antediluvians were, they were the head of each clan. They actually were the start of each clan. Yeah, and they're asleep. So Cain probably is asleep as well, most likely, but very hard to get to. The Book of Nod. I showed you the book I had, my version. That's over there. I showed you before. Okay, just go and get it. The Book of Nod. The Vampire Bible. But not a legitimate Bible, Holy Bible by any sense. Just a book of poems. It's also got some, it also explains a lot of things, I guess, that I suddenly noticed, just before, when I was showing it off, in the earlier video. I might sit down and read it one day. Properly. I'm trying to look for a word called Galconder. Apparently, in the book of Ganhana, actually this book I read called The Last Battle, which is about the arrival of the apocalypse, which the werewolves have been heralding and trying to stave off by fighting the worm anywhere and everywhere. Apparently, before the ending of the book, all the vampires disappear. No one can find them at all. So I don't know what happened to them exactly, but I guess maybe they were consumed by the antediluvians, the whole lot of them, and the antediluvians were consumed by the ones above them, and so on. Maybe Cain took his life. Finally, I'm not sure. I'm just guessing. Sorry if a lot of you think that's dumb, but I haven't read all the books. I just have a bit of information. The Camarilla. A caitiff. Caitiff. It's a type of vampire. The vampire with no clan. It's a clanless vampire. Frequently used in a derogatory fashion. To be clanless is not a virtue among the kindred. I don't know how that happens though. Maybe like every vampire that is a vampire is a member of a clan. Unless they're bitten by another caitiff, but how did the caitiff start off? It's somewhere in this book. The answer is, but I haven't read it yet. The Sabbat. A sect of vampires controlling much of eastern Northern America. They are violent and bestial, reveling in the needless cruelty. They don't obey the laws of the Masquerade. Technically, they're evil by vampire standards, which is kind of odd, as evil isn't really a concept. You could apply to vampires, creatures that technically they're very high on the predatory, the ladder. Um, well, the basically humans are there to be fed off um, in their thing. Um, yeah. Um, Elysium. Remember that movie, Elysium? No. How shall I say? They're highest on the food chain, if you know what I mean. Except the food is blood. They're high up on the food chain. Like, would you call a wolf evil for feeding off a sheep? Or a human? I guess you would if it was a human, because we like to look after our own. And we are sentient. We are more sentient than other animals. In fact, in a way, we are higher up on the food. Well, we are higher up on the food chain than regular wolves. But werewolves, yes, but except they have a law. They made it a law that cannibalism of any kind is strictly out, not allowed. Um, they forbid it. There are a sect of bone gnawers who practice it though. They're very worm tainted. They're not actually black spiral dancers. But anyway, Elysium, the name given for the places where the elders meet and gather, commonly opera theatres or other public places of high culture. Remember that film, Elysium, with Matt Damon and Jodie Foster and that other guy from Sector 13? I think it's Sector 13, or that one about all the prawn creatures, the prawn insect-like creatures that humanoid creatures that have been living in shanties all over Africa while their mothership floats above it, floats above them. Yeah, that's a strange movie. Anyway, okay. I can't find. I'm looking for this word called Gelconda. It's basically heaven or paradise for a vampire. I think it's actually it means escape from the Jihad. It's where they are granted God removes their curse, I guess, or removes the negative effects of the vampire curse while allowing them to also continuing to exist. I guess they're allowed to stop. They can go on living without drinking blood forever. They're practically immortal, I think. They might have some other restrictions though, but I'm just guessing. The amaranth, the act of drinking blood of other kindred. It's also called diablerie. Diablerie. I don't know what that means. Diablerie. Diblerie. Here it's got ghoul. A servant created by allowing a mortal to drink kindred blood without draining. That will give rise to a prodigy. Yeah, mortal drinking blood of the kindred without that kindred draining their blood, therefore embracing them to become vampires themselves. They still get powers, some sort of it enhances their some of their physical statistics, I think. Damn, I can't find this word at all. The riddle. The essential dilemma of a vampire's existence. To prevent the occurrence of greater atrocities, one must commit evil deeds of a lesser nature. The proverb is, the monsters we are, less the monsters we become. I think that would explain some of the naughty things I've done too. That's what I'll say next time I get caught doing something bad, but not really bad. Actually, I got banned from the 2000 AD forums for talking about sex. I'll guess I'll say that to the moderators when they let me back in. The riddle. I'll just go, remember the riddle? Whatever. Ancilla, the adolescent vampire, one who is no longer a neonate, but is not an elder. Cunctator. A cunctator. A vampire avoids killing by drinking shallowly and taking too little blood to kill the prey. Force pass chasseur. Pute. Oh, I can't even read. That's French. Compare Casanova. Yeah, vampires rarely drink more than they need to, and if they drink too much, they can kill the mortal, which is considered a breach of the Masquerade. It kind of reminds me of when I'm scooping fuel from the sun in Elite Dangerous. If you stay in the same spot for too long, you lose some of your hull plating from the intense heat. So you got to kind of dip in and out, or not take so much fuel until you improve your upgrade your fuel scoop. I just see a bit of a parallel there. Parallel between vampires drinking blood and pilots in Elite Dangerous scooping fuel from the sun. We're sort of like drinking the blood of the sun using our ships. Our ships are kind of like space age vampires. Lush, a vampire who habitually feeds upon prey who are under the influence of drink or drugs in order to experience the sensations thereof. Yes, a vampire can get drunk or fall into the same drug-induced trance there are preyers in if they're on hallucinogens or whatever's in their system. I think they have ways of finding out using auspex, using heightened senses to figure out if usually there are visual, like they can see if their prey is kind of drunk, especially if they've been talking to them and drinking with them. Some drug users aren't always detectable though. It's always hard to tell what's in a person's system before a vampire drinks from it. So those vampires who don't invest points into their heightened senses might get a nasty surprise the next time they drink from a mortal. That's also true for mortals who are suffering terrible diseases like HIV, and what about this Ebola? The thing is, I think they'd suffer the same effects until they can flush it from their system somehow. Vampires can't. It doesn't say vampires can die from these diseases, but they can become carriers too, I think. In fact, they become, they actually spread, they probably increase the spread of disease this way. I think there's a very strong link between vampirism and the plague victims of the Middle Ages. Vulgar argot. Go on here. Methuselah, an elder who no longer lives among the other kindred. Many of Methuselah belong to the economy. Come on. Primogen, the leaders in the city of the ruling council of the elders. Those who support the prince and make her rule possible. I made a mistake before. I said the Primogen were like the antediluvians. They were actually the leaders of each clan. No, I think the Primogen are actually the highest of each clan within a city or an area, a small area, I guess. Like the prince. Like the prince is supposed to be the ruling vampire. Maybe the Primogens are the ones underneath the prince that are in charge of each clan, while the prince is in charge of every one of those clans within his city, his or her city, regardless of what clan that prince is part of themselves. Retainers, humans who serve the vampire masquerade. What? Human and mortal? Okay. Cain is also known as the third mortal. Suspire, dream dance during the final stage of the quest of Golconda. But where is the word Golconda? There it is, right at the top. Golconda, the state of being to which many vampires aspire, in which a balance is found between opposing urges and scruples. The slide into bestiality is halted. Yeah, all vampires have an inner beast that will come to the surface when they are very hungry, and people will see the vampire for what they truly are when that happens. It takes control and will commit dibblery, whatever it's called, on the nearest mortal or other vampire if it desperately needs blood. If their blood pool is drained. That's how I actually started my first game of Vampire. I was playing a Tremere. It was in I think it was one of the American cities, I think, run by a girl I know. I hope she watches this video. She knows who she is. It just worked out. I think I rolled a dice badly, and my character was starting with a 0 blood pool or something, a very low blood pool, and he was very thirsty, and he was in a taxi being driven to the prince's residence mansion, and I told I got my character to tell the taxi driver to drive me to the darkest part of the street, and while he did so, I made my move on the cabbie and accidentally killed him. Now, my character was in trouble too, but at least he got his blood pool up. Anyway, I'll just keep reading this. The slide into bestiality is halted, and the individual reaches a kind of stasis, like the mortal's nirvana. It is often spoken of, but seldom achieved. I'm not sure if it's what I meant by the vampires losing the negative sides of their vampire curse, becoming practically immortals without a need to drink blood or fear the sun. It's kind of like that. I guess that would be kind of Twilighty. Maybe they even sparkle. Maybe that's what the lady who wrote the Twilight series meant. There are Golconda vampires. Oh well. That's it. That's it for the book. I'll just put it aside now. Mage. Did I read this to you? read about this. All I know about this game is paradox. And just wait a minute, I'll just go and take care of something. Won't be long. Where was I? Looking for something to eat. I've just had dinner. Drinking my bourbon and coke from. This is from the day before. It's needs more coke. It's a bit strong. Okay, the concept of the game of mage. Mages are enlightened beings, mortal humans who embrace heart, matter, mind, body and soul. The truth behind reality and their own place in it. through innate sense, hard-earned knowledge, and a shard of the divine self, the avatar. A mage learns to rework reality at its core and becomes an active force of change for change. Though lesser sorcerers, often called hedge wizards, may tamper with the tapestry's threads, true mages direct the fires of destiny. Such change is rarely pleasant, but it is necessary. And awakened have always been with us. Time and disbelief, however, have whittled away their power or channeled it into less obvious forms of magic. As the boundaries between the possible and impossible grow more rigid, the mages amongst us dwindle in number but increase in importance. Such sorcerers are heroes in the classic sense with their power and insight. They cannot help but affect the world around them. To do so, however, they must continually transcend their own limits and those of the world around them. All mages then, even the Richard technomancers, I take it they're modern mages that use gadgets. I've never played the game, so I'm not really sure. Are threats to the established order, dynamic to the core. True mages are the harbingers of change. Because awakening is universal, mages come from all nations, cultures, orientations, and age groups. Many find their awakenings in their in their late teens or 20s, but some find enlightenment at the very